All right, and then I mentioned that there were 12 fragrances being launched by one brand, one house, and that house is Lush. Are you a fan of Lush? So back in 2017, I was invited to an event by Lush, and at that time, their fragrances were called Gorilla Perfume. So they were doing a tour across the country, and I believe here in the I think it was just I think it was across the globe, and then they came to the USA, and it was in Dallas. So I flew there, and they had launched several fragrances, and they basically set up these settings for each of the fragrance, and you go into these little areas of this big warehouse and you experience the fragrances there, as in like the fragrances come to life. There's a whole video about that on the channel. Search for Lush Gorilla Perfume and you can see that video. It's quite interesting. But I don't know, there's been some changes with the house, and so I've kind of like stopped talking about the brand, even though I still mention a few fragrances here and there because they were discontinuing and stuff. So now Lush is launching 12 new fragrances at once. So there are some in here that are really interesting sounding, and so I'd like to get my nose on them. And if you've gotten your nose on these fragrances, of course, please do let us know. Put a comment down below. So the perfumers are lesser known perfumers, and I'm familiar with them, but I'll list the names down in the info box for you guys to find out. But the first fragrance is BETEL, B-E-T-E-L, and it's featuring notes of mango tree, coriander, anise, jasmine, and Davana. So very interesting sounding. I like the idea of anise and fragrances. And of course, there's Davana here. And what's mango tree versus the mango fruit? How does that smell? So this one actually sounds like it would be something I'd love to get my nose on. In fact, the whole entire lot I'd get my nose on. Sometimes some fragrances sound really great, but when you smell it, I'm like, that smells so boring. What were they thinking? Kind of a thing. So I'm sure it's going to happen like that here as well. But sometimes fragrances that don't sound great actually smell really great, so there's that scenario as well. So the next fragrance is ABIBA, A-B-I-B-A, featuring notes of carrot seeds, bay leaves, vetiver, frangipani, ylang-ylang. Does this one sound great to you guys? Are you a fan of Lush's Gorilla? Well, it's no longer called Gorilla Perfume, but are you a fan of Lush fragrances? Let me know if you have a favorite. Put a comment down below. One of their more popular ones is Cardamom Coffee. And if you search for that video, I'll have it linked here as well. But if you search for that Lush Gorilla Perfume video, the Cardamom Coffee is featured in that video. So they had a whole scene set up. And it's one of my favorite fragrances from the house, along with the Rentless. I think that's what it was called. It's been so long that I've spoken about Lush, so I've forgotten. But Rentless is more like a patchouli focused fragrance. That should be in that video as well. But moving on to the next fragrance, it's Hungarian Fronds, F-R-O-N-D-S. This one featuring notes of chamomile, oregano, and fennel. So sounds like an aromatic and mineral, floral, herbal kind of a thing. I don't know what to think about this one. It doesn't sound exciting right off the bat, but who knows? Fennel can come off a bit licorice-like, and I like licorice anise in fragrances, so we shall see how this one is. But I like the names of these fragrances. What do you guys think? The next fragrance, the fourth fragrance, is The Dew on Their Hems. This one is cucumber, petrichor, dewdrops, cedar needles, fir resin, cedarwood, sweet nose. This one sounds strange. Cucumber with petrichor? Are you guys fans of petrichor? And then combining it with sweet notes? What kind of sweet notes are these? So this one warrants getting my nose on. It just sounds weird and very unique to combine these kind of notes. Cucumber provides an ozonic touch. Petrichor could be a bit like rain and earth and soil mixed in together. So this one sounds very interesting. The Dew on Their Hems. The next one, Bond Street 1972, Green Accord, Galbanum, and Incense. So it sounds like a very smoky green, bitter resin kind of a thing here. Always love Galbanum in fragrances, love green fragrances. So this one definitely something I want to get my nose on. The next one is Time of the Season. Patchouli, Orange Blossom, Grapefruit, Neroli. I love patchouli, you guys know this, and this one's combined with citruses. So not only Orange Blossom, but also Neroli, and that kind of bitter zing and spice of the grapefruit in here mixed with patchouli. Patchouli, always a great note, but for me, grapefruit is always mixed with like vetiver, because vetiver has a bit of grapefruity saltiness, and grapefruit has a little bit of that too. But I haven't seen it much with patchouli, and I'm quite curious to see what they've done with this. Even though with the grapefruit in Tiger, Bulgari's Tiger, I do get a bit of a patchouli edge in that fragrance. I don't think they're fully featuring, you know, patchouli in that one. And I love that one. So we shall see how Time of the Season is. The next fragrance is called Sweet Pea, P-E-A. It's Ylang-Ylang, Sweet Pea, Freesia, Jasmine, Rose, Rosemary, Sage, and Mint. Very floral, very yellow floral, and also very aromatic and herbal. Sounds like an interesting combination. We shall see. Lots of different flowers. Not only we've got Ylang-Ylang, the Sweet Pea, the Freesia, Jasmine, and Rose together. It's a floral bomb, but it's kind of balanced out with the Rosemary, Sage, and Mint. The Rosemary is a tricky note in fragrances. It could come off a bit medicinal, so a little goes a long way for me with Rosemary. Hopefully they have it nicely balanced. Same thing with mint too, but mint, for me, it's much better if it's fresh rather than toothpastey, because I can't stand that stuff. I like toothpaste, but don't like it in fragrances. The next fragrance, the 8th fragrance, it's Vegan Leather Jacket. Love the name of this one. This is cloves, vetiver, tobacco, and tonka beans. Cloves are an interesting note. They're not very trendy. They're a bit old school. They come off a bit like carnation. So is this more like a holiday fragrance? Is it kind of something maybe perhaps like tobacco vanille? Because it's got tobacco, it's got tonka, it's got cloves, so it's spicy. This one sounds great, but where does the name Vegan Leather Jacket come from? Is it like a vegan leather accord that they've created with the notes? That sounds really fun. For me, I like the name, I like the idea, and the notes sound great too. And cloves, I love cloves. Drinking cloves, clove tea, love it. So we shall see how Vegan Leather Jacket is. And what do you guys think of the names of these fragrances? This next one, the 9th fragrance, is No Way to Say Goodbye. All right, it's blackcurrant, benzoin, Litsea cubeba, and rose. Always enjoy benzoin in fragrances, so we know this is going to be ambery and also fruity and floral. We shall see how it is. Sounds interesting, not as exciting as the last one, but definitely something I'd like to get my nose on. Then the following, the 10th fragrance, is Chelsea Morning. It's toffee, lemons, vanilla, tonka beans, fenugreek, and myrtle. I like the idea of this one. Fenugreek is rare, not a note that most people talk about. So it's a herb, like a spice herb. So I'd like to definitely get my nose on this one. And I always enjoy myrtle in fragrances. Really love that smell, so we shall see. And this next one really sounds wonderful, and I like the name, the Bee's Knees. Hay, smoke, earthy notes, immortelle, leather, honey, tobacco, orange blossom, osmanthus, neroli. This one sounds like it's a honey tobacco focused fragrance. And of course the Bee's Knees, it's a great name. This one, I think, got my name all over it. So I'd like to find out, because it's also got hay and smoke, so giving you a smoky touch, earthy touch as well, and then of course a little bit of animalic something thrown in with the hay there. So this one, I'm all over it. We shall see. If you've gotten your nose on any of these, do let us know. Put a comment down below. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about that's launching, it's a re-release. It's called Fresh As, A-S. So it's Siberian pine, pine needles, benzoin, marigold, and orris. I never got my nose on this one. We shall see, but I'm curious to get my nose on these. Now, I have a lot of older and discontinued Lush fragrances. I wonder if you guys want a video done on discontinued fragrances. There were some great ones in the mix, and I personally have not kept up with Lush. I wish we had a store here. We don't. And so I think there were some regulations that came up in California, and I think they can't sell the fragrances here or something. I don't know what the technicalities are, and the type of fragrances that they were creating, they weren't allowed to sell, so they might have to reformulate fragrances and things like that. But if you're interested in hearing more about Lush fragrances, let me know. And if you have a Lush near you, let me know that as well. And what are your favorite Lush fragrances? Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.